10 years, of course, after 9/11. That study finds after spending hundreds of billions of dollars, we were actually we're safer than we were back then. But here's the thing. We are not nearly as secure as we need to be. CBS News national correspondent Chip Reid has more for us this morning from Washington. And this is a bit of a wake-up call, Chip.
It sure is, Erica. The new report says there will be more attempted terrorist attacks on the United States, and the last thing we want to do now is let down our guard.
Nearly 10 years after the 9/11 attacks, a new report says there are still major gaps in the government's ability to thwart and respond to a terrorist attack. The former chairman of the 9/11 Commission, who oversaw the report, say it's outrageous that Congress still hasn't passed their recommendation to allocate radio spectrum to first responders, a deficiency that they say cost lives on 9/11.
First responders ought to be able to talk with one another at the site of the disaster. I mean, that is so obvious.
The report also says we are still highly vulnerable to aviation security threats. Citing the case of the so-called underwear bomber who tried to blow up a plane over Detroit on Christmas Day 2009, the report says that despite advances in airport screening, explosives detection technology lacks reliability. On the positive side, the report says our country is undoubtedly safer and more secure than it was a decade ago, and communication among government agencies has considerably improved since 9/11. Some security analysts have recently suggested that after 10 years and $1 trillion, it's time to stop spending so much on homeland security. After all, they say, there have been no major attacks since 9/11. But former White House Homeland Security Advisor Frank Salufo says now is the time to ramp up the fight, not back off.
Most people are not aware since 9/11 there have been 53 homegrown jihadi cases in the United States, and a majority of those have occurred in the last 2 years.
Only 2 of those plots succeeded, the shootings at Fort Hood in Texas and at an Army recruiting office in Arkansas, both in 2009. But Salufo says some of the plots, like the attempted Times Square bombing in 2010, were foiled only by luck. And the plot by Najibullah Zassi to attack the New York City subway system in 2009 could have been devastating.
The Navy SEALs who killed bin Laden found evidence in his compound that he was advocating attacks on the United States around the 9/11 10th anniversary. Intelligence sources tell CBS News that so far they are not hearing any rumblings of anything major in the works, but they also add that certainly security will be intensified both here at home and around the world between now and 9/11.
Okay, so perhaps nothing specific on that date, but when it comes to a specific group like Al-Qaeda, which is the first thing many Americans think of when they think of terrorism and of attacks, how much concern is there that this group specifically could mount another attack on the United States?
Well, certainly there is concern, but there is a report out today by Associated Press quoting John Brennan, who is the White House chief counterterrorism advisor, in which he says that Al-Qaeda is on the ropes right now, and they are trying to hide, and they don't have time to plan new attacks. And that is consistent with what one terrorism expert told me. He said, if they're spending more time looking over their shoulders than plotting and planning new attacks, that's a good thing. Erica?
All right, Chip Reid in Washington this morning. Chip, thanks.